Matthew, welcome once again, sir.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, so today we have a particular topic, and I think a lot of people will find this interesting at a time when, as I say, we're rolling up to the debate tonight. There's always talk about law and order, and people are accusing other candidates, opposing candidates, of being soft on crime, and that all has to do with standing in front of the bar of justice, and listening to what a judge has to say. We hear a lot about pardons. So-and-so was pardoned. I know as the term of this president, comes to a close, there's always the possibility that could be pardons that are granted. What is a pardon?
Well, Jim, a pardon is exactly what it sounds like. It's not really super complicated. The law allows someone with a criminal conviction to apply for a pardon in Connecticut. Of course, it can happen on the federal level as well. But we're talking today about Connecticut pardons, and a pardon is something that actually erases a record of conviction, puts you back to square one as though you have never been prosecuted and never suffered a conviction in Connecticut.
Huh. So let's try this scenario. Maybe for someone who's not familiar with life after a conviction. Explain to us, Attorney Maddox, if there are any negative effects that it may have on that person's life, the rest of their life.
And that's a great question. I think that's what is driving what has become a much more active and much more engaged and, frankly, compassionate board of pardons in Connecticut. Because, Connecticut, no matter where you are politically, Connecticut really is leading in the concept of examining the impact of convictions on people and what it does to their employability, what it does to their families, and so forth. So, if you're convicted criminally of a misdemeanor or a felony, it results directly in the loss of jobs. It certainly prevents people from getting jobs that they want. It prevents them from obtaining certifications, certain training, certain levels of employability, and it has a very significant economic impact on families and relationships. And of course, if many people may not know this, but a felony conviction prevents you from voting. Talking about the debate tonight and the upcoming election, a felony conviction says make sure that you can't vote. So there are all kinds of consequences to convictions, and I think Connecticut is realizing that there are certain categories of people who, after convictions, really work hard to reenter society, be productive, be good people, and it's time to examine those folks and see what can be done to remove obstacles so they can thrive and contribute on an even higher level to our communities.
So who's eligible for these pardons?
Well, look, you're eligible. Ideally, you want to wait for 3 years after a misdemeanor conviction, Jim. You want to wait for 5 years after a felony conviction. That's a general rule of thumb. Why those 3 years? Why the 5 years? Well, you've got to really start to establish and be able to demonstrate at the Board of Pardons a different and a better track record. So, they're going to want to see 3 years of you working hard and contributing and being the type of citizen that really can collaborate with communities and do good things for families and for neighborhoods. And it's going to be 5 years after a felony conviction.
We're talking with attorney Matthew Maddox of the Maddox Law Firm in New Canaan, Connecticut. So who can apply for this? Somebody who's on parole, somebody who's on probation.
You can apply if you're on parole or on probation. It's in my opinion, in our practice, it's definitely premature at that stage. You want to wait until you're done with parole. You want to wait until you're done with your probation. Just as we just said in response to the last question, Jim, you want to look at, after you're convicted, you really want to work at reestablishing yourself and creating a different narrative as to what kind of a person you are and where you fit in and what you do for society. So, yeah, you don't want to be on parole or on probation, Jim, when you apply.
And what's the chance of having an application for a pardon being denied?
Well, let me answer that question in this way, because talking about chances, and probabilities and percentages really can be problematic. I will say this, that the more you've done, the harder you've worked, the more consistent you've been in your employment. Maybe you've gotten some additional education. Maybe you got some additional training. You demonstrate that you are a good father or a good mother, a good husband, a good wife, that you're spending time volunteering your time for charitable organizations. You're demonstrating all those things over a period of time, and I will tell you that the Board of Pardons is going to show a real interest in your application, and I'll tell you they really like to see people who can demonstrate, look, I've done all this great stuff. I'm really being a good guy. I'm being a good person. I'm working hard. And look, here's a specific instance where I'm being prevented from advancing. And here's the actual proof of that. And that resonates with the Board of Pardons. So all those things together, your chances go up.
Trial attorney Matthew Maddox, practicing in Connecticut for 25 years. He knows what it's all about, very particular and very specific here to our state, passionate about people knowing their rights, having accurate information about the law. Owner of the Maddox Law Firm in New Canaan. Phone number, website, people want to get in contact with you, attorney.
Oh, thank you, Jim. The telephone number is 203-972-5861. The website has plenty of information and instructive videos. It's themaddoxlawfirm.com. We love this type of work. We love looking after people and trying to find second chances. So we're always interested in talking to folks about pardons and advancing them toward a better life and thriving in life, Jim.
And our interview with attorney Matthew Maddox is sponsored by the Maddox Law Firm in New Canaan, Connecticut. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks so much, Jim. Looking forward to that.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.